Hi, I'm Ryan Wright.
And I'm Jerry.
And I'm Michelle Q.
Welcome to Reasons to See,
where we give you reasons to see.
And not to see.
Star Trek Into Darkness! Warp speed ahead. Reason to see number 1. The action. There's a lot of fucking action in this movie.
There was some action.
It starts off with action, practically ends with action. It's just non-stop action.
It gives you a lot of energy.
Like, I didn't feel like this movie was non-stop action in the sense of like, it's just one long fight scene, but like there are a lot of really cool different types of fights and stuff like that. And more for me, it was like the urgency was up the whole movie.
On a technical level, I thought they improved upon the action, especially the direction from J.J. Abrams on it. I felt they could have dialed it back just a little bit. I really love that chase scene when they first go into the Klingon planet. They have that classic scene of, we're not gonna make it! And then they turn their ship sideways and they make it, and that's in every good science fiction film, isn't it?
What, we're not gonna make it?
We're not gonna make it with our ship, and they go through a little crack.
There are two things that are big right now, and it's we're not gonna make it, turn the ship sideways, and really crazy plane crashes.
Yeah.
Those are the two big action things now.
And this movie even has, in a way, a crazy big plane crash moment.
Thinking that.
When the ship
tear
is
open the hull.
Yeah, the ship is attacked and everyone's flying into warp speed. That was crazy.
Yeah,
that was insane. There were a few moments where I was like, oh shit, but that was an oh shit moment for me.
They've kind of like transformed Star Trek more into like the modern era and made it a little bit less nerdy. I love Star Trek. I've been watching Star Trek like since I was a little kid with my dad, like all of the shows. I guess like it's more like in like sci-fi in the intellectual sense, and then in the J.J. Abrams like reboot, he's brought that intellectual aspect of the show, like the nerdy aspect, but also mix it in with action so that it appeals to more people. So now being into Star Trek kind of is like a cool thing, you know? It's kind of refreshed it.
You know, J.J. Abrams, I think he's a better producer than he is a director, and he's great at what he does, and he knows how to appeal to a mass market. So I could see if some Trekkie fans are a little let down. At the end of the day, you know, they make summer movies like this to appeal to a much larger audience. I mean, before the reboot of Star Trek, there was Star Trek Nemesis, which like made no fucking money, and now they're doing this, which is like a global box office hit. So it's like, which one are they going to do more? Try to satisfy the few, or try to satisfy the majority?
I've heard it said that especially with the Star Trek movies, they're really uneven in their track record, where it's like some are really good and others are really not good. And then it was like after so much time they were like, why don't we just try again? Like, why don't we just do something different?
You know, being a nerd is like cool now.
Yeah,
like,
I'm a nerd.
That's like what made 21 Jump Street so funny, was like, yeah, the nerds are like the shit now. Like, if you know a ton about comic books or television shows and movies, they tend to be the cool ones now. It is a hard demographic to satisfy.
Reason to see number 2. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cucumber's amazing in this movie, man.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes.
He's a scene stealer for sure. He has this incredible ability to be threatening, same time has moments where you get this guy, like you sympathize for him.
Or at least you think you do.
Yeah, you don't know if he's a great manipulator or if he's, in a weird way, he's kind of just telling the truth a lot of the time. At least his version of the truth.
But that's what they say is like what makes a great villain is that they believe what they're doing is the thing to do. It's like they believe they're right. They don't know that they don't think of themselves as evil, you know?
And I liked how it wasn't just good guy and bad guy. There was something about him where I totally got where this guy was coming from. I could understand his reason for vengeance and whatnot. Like, and it's cool how in ways he can influence Kirk in some aspects.
Yeah. The movie maneuvers our heroes into this place where you don't know who to trust, and part of that is because he's so compelling, so you're like, should we trust this guy or is he messing with us? But he seems like, I don't know, like...
You believe that he is intellectual, like I did not doubt that he like is smart. I think he played that aspect of the character really well. I think he was menacing, I think he was threatening, and he played that really well. And I think sometimes it can be difficult to show both sides, you know, because you can get someone who's way too threatening or someone who's way too like intellectual, and he manages to bring those two aspects together very well. His voice is very
His voice is deeper
yeah.
than you think it would be looking at his face.
And yeah, and like I don't know. Okay,
That's the first thing I thought when he started talking was I didn't realize how deep Benedict Cumberbatch's voice is.
A lot of fans or people who even just saw Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan are getting kind of upset with the fact of how he is nothing like Khan and from the original.
Oh, is he not?
Yeah, because like I know that Khan was played by like I don't know the full detail.
Guy?
Yeah, some Mexican guy played Khan, and
okay.
because Khan was originally on an episode of Star Trek, and then they made a movie with Khan being the ultimate villain of the whole Star Trek series, and some people are finding it insulting because Star Trek II is some people consider that the best one out of all the Star Trek movies. I personally was not upset because I didn't know shit about Khan beforehand, so I was able to accept what the filmmakers were going for on its own merits. I thought it was fucking brilliant, just the entire portrayal of it all. He's a super villain. He's not just intellectual badass. He's also fucking has super strength. That is why I did not like the way he was taken down at the end. I thought it was kind of a cop out of just okay, yeah, he gets in a fight. And so they didn't buy it. I felt he deserved more of a...
Yeah.
There could have been more of a payoff when they have the whole, like, how did you defeat him?
Yeah.
And then it's like, how did you defeat him?
There should have been a much bigger defeat, but it could have been much more of a heroic, triumphant moment of, yes, that's the brilliant way of how they got it. You're watching it going, how do they take this guy down?
Yeah.
How will they defeat him? And then he loses to a fist fight and a stun gun.
He stunned him like 10 times.
He gets stunned a lot, but I thought they could have been more creative and had a bigger payoff.
Reason is scene number 3, Captain Kirk.
I love this actor. I don't know any other movies I've seen him in, but I really do like Chris. I love Chris Pine a lot. I think he's fucking awesome.
He's hot too.
He's charming as ever. He's one of those guys that you see is like, yep, he's a good looking motherfucker.
Yeah, I would suck his dick.
He has okay. With this guy, he knows how to command the screen too. I mean, I think when it came to his scenes with Benedict Cumberbatch, he really allowed him to take over the scene. He seems like a leading actor who's not afraid to share the screen at all.
Yeah, right.
And he knows how to really lead a cast very well.
He's very cooperative.
He's funny too. He's really funny.
He's funny, but I also really just liked what they did with his character. He's sort of just going off wild-eyed, you know, because it's all comes from a very heated situation when Pike dies and all that stuff, and they're like, we're going for revenge, and like he's constantly conflicted and meeting resistance, and then after a while, it is like I just love that whole scene kind of sums it up where he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
All I know is what I can do, and I felt like that was the essence of his performance.
They really make Captain Kirk like the theme of the movie. Whatever Kirk has to go through, you know, I love that whole like, you don't know how to follow the rules. You know, you're a rebel. And we don't like rebels, but you know, of course, there's always something in the rebel that makes him the exception. You know, he is like that moment that you're talking about. You know, because a lot of this is about following your gut, following your emotion, or do you follow logic? Which one do you follow? Do you follow the rules? Do you go against the rules? And they really make Kirk that central theme of all of that. He's the perfect middleman for because you know Spock is a real essential part to this movie, and Benedict Cumberbatch is a real essential part to this movie. So when you have him as the guy to really control that theme, it makes for a perfect executed theme.
He's like the balance.
Yeah.
Boom!
Reason to see number 4, Spock.
Dude, man, Zachary Quinto.
They gave him a lot more to do in this one.
Yeah, man, it's like
they let him run the show at one point, you know?
Yeah, they really played up the Spock-Kirk relationship.
I liked it.
And also they brought a little more into Spock as a character and stuff like that.
They brought like a bromance into it.
But it was like a troubled bromance. It was like trying to work through it, you know, trying to figure out where that spark is again.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are getting upset about how much they're exploring his human side, which I kind of get, because what made Spock so cool was he's half Vulcan, and so you get to explore the Vulcan side because that's what you want to see because he's a Vulcan. We got to explore the Vulcan side for how many fucking years now? Let's explore his human side, and I'm totally on board for that because it's such a repressed side of him. It's his most fascinating side, in my opinion, because his Vulcan side always shines. It's constantly there. He's way more Vulcan than he is human.
Well, because most of the time he behaves like a Vulcan.
Yeah, he believes himself to mainly be Vulcan. He doesn't really acknowledge his human side to begin with. So when you explore his human side, and I did like how they linked it back to the first one, like, hey, my planet was blown up and that's why I'm detached from my emotions. Yeah. Because you don't want to argue with him on it. Because you're like, I get it.
Have you lost a planet?
Yeah.
All right, chill out. I lost all of my people and our home world. I think I'm entitled to this.
It's not like a town was destroyed. My planet was obliterated.
You guys lost your archives. I lost my entire world.
Yeah,
All right?
what do you know about pain?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he's still making the right choices, and it's cool because Kirk has to learn how to play by the rules more and understand logic more, and Spock has to understand emotion more and understand emotional decision making way more. So that moment that there's a lot of debate about that one fucking scene when Kirk dies and they switch the roles and Spock becomes the hero at that point. Khan! And people are bitching about that because it was, that scene's been parodied a lot. It was such a famous signature moment back then. In it, I thought it was effective as ever. When he yelled Khan, I thought I was pretty fucking cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
And to see him really get in touch with this, I felt that drive when he's going after Khan. You feel that emotional sense of like, go get him.
Go get him, Spock.
Yeah. Find him, hunt him down, run through the city. That was all great because you really feel for Spock at that moment. You really feel that sense of revenge coming in. And his chemistry with Kirk is fantastic.
Yeah, they have really good chemistry. I just love the way they bounce off each other and their dialogue. It's just great. I think that they built upon that from the first movie because they had a pretty good chemistry in the first movie, but in this one you really get to see it. It's very realistic. If you have I guess for guys, that's your bro. They're like bros,
really
and
logical
you see that.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was warm and fuzzy.
They're the perfect balance because Kirk is all emotional and Spock is all logical, and to have the 1-2 combo, it's
balance
perfect.
each other out.
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh god, it was great. I like this movie a lot more than I thought I did.
Even just strip it down to the most simple thing. I just like the way he plays that character. I just like to watch what Zachary Quinto's doing.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I mean, I didn't see Heroes, but I know, when my parents watched Heroes, and I remember them saying, oh yeah, that guy who played Spock? He's so good in Heroes too, just like he was in Star Trek, and nice to see that he's consistent with that.
Reason to see number 5. The humor.
Something that I really liked about this movie is that they maintain that humor that was in the first one. It was such a nice thing to see because that's what made the first Star Trek so whimsical and uplifting, and I like that they kept that.
I didn't find it as funny as the first one.
It wasn't. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I thought it's called Star Trek Into Darkness, and I do think it goes into much darker terrain than the first one did, and so I think that's why the humor wasn't as present. The Doctor, they don't really give him that much drama to do, but he had some great one-liners too.
Yeah, I love
the metaphors and everything. That was great.
I think the third Star Trek is going to be called Star Trek Into Lightheartedness. Complete comedy. Yeah. But as it stands, there was a lot of stuff I was chuckling at, and there was a lot of stuff that I was smiling about because I was just having a good time. And the characters, say what you will about depth and whatnot, but all the characters had personality, and they were all, I don't know, they were just all making me laugh at some point. Scotty's really fun, and Bones is fun, and Captain Kirk's got his sort of, Captain Kirky sarcasticness. And even just situational things.
Even Spock is funny.
Yeah, everybody gets their moment.
It's great to have that sense of humor in there where it doesn't feel like they're turning this into a comedy, where the humor is obviously coming from the character's personality.
Reason to see number 6, visual effects.
That's probably the one thing I think everyone's going to agree on with this film.
Yeah.
They are fantastic. I saw this on IMAX 3D. And they shot 30 minutes of this with actual IMAX cameras. And for those of you who don't know why that's exceptional, is because most movies that play on IMAX screens, it only takes up the center of the screen. This one takes up the whole fucking screen, and it has the best quality you'll ever see. It was beautiful to look at, but I can probably guarantee that even if it wasn't on IMAX, it would still look amazing.
Yeah.
I did not see it on IMAX, and it still looked amazing.
Oh, there you go.
And it was just beautiful. It was such a treat to watch.
And the great thing is they throw you into a world, and several worlds, but
you feel like you're a part of it.
They throw you into a certain type of universe. The visual effects don't detract from keeping up with the story and keeping up with everything, because a lot of times you get movies that are, this movie has like visual effects in almost every fucking shot, which is fine for this film though. Like it works out perfectly for this particular movie. It keeps you even more pulled in, and it's consistently impressive and very real a lot of the time too.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, the visual effects all seem to be in places where they're necessary, and then there's, you know, makeup effects and stuff elsewhere, and real creature effects and animatronics, but you know, the visual effects all seem to go where they're needed, and they're all really good. I mean,
Reason to see number 7, production design. I love like just the landscape of everything, just the attention to detail in almost every single shot. You know, whenever they go through like Starfleet or just the cities they're in, you know, like you get all these.
London in 20 whatever looks really cool, and like
San Francisco in whatever year looks amazing. Just
Nibiru, like the planets they're on,
or
like,
whenever they go through Starfleet and you see all this crazy detail in the background of all these different types of ships and whatnot.
Even of things like, you know, technology, like their guns, their torpedoes, all that stuff. It's really cool.
And the costumes were awesome. Like the makeup, all of it was great. I love the look of the new Klingons.
It's got a flare. It looks like
it's got a lens flare.
Reason to see number 8, Scotty.
They gave him more to do, and he delivered on what they gave him to do.
Well, and the thing about Simon Pegg that I love, you know, he's really funny, but also he can play really dramatic moments, and he can be very heartfelt, and they utilize a lot of his different skills.
Even in like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, he knows how to bring that right amount of balance, so that way it's believable. that way it's not like you're just watching a comedian on screen. You're watching somebody who's a human being who happens to be really funny at the same time. They really showed why he is an essential part to the crew.
Yeah, definitely.
Reason to see number 9, cinematography.
They have some crazy angles in there, like some great, like, you know, there's some crazy moments where they'll just be like zooming in, but then turning it into a Dutch angle while they're zooming in and stuff. Right. And sometimes I thought the camera was a little all over the place, so it was kind of hard for me to tell what was going on. For the most part, there's some incredible cinematography in here.
I didn't ever think there was a moment where I couldn't understand what was going on visually. You know, I really liked just the composition of the shots, the flow of everything, the look. Every shot is like an awesome thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, even if they're just in the hull of a ship, it's like, but this is really cool looking.
Yeah, because it does have a very signature look to it. Reason to see number 10, the music.
Yeah, that's something I found myself thinking partway through this movie. I was like, this is really cool score. It's there's a lot of cool sounds and dynamics and stuff like that.
I love the way how we do our show, because we really break it down, you know, into like so many different categories. What makes a movie work so well is you take all these different categories and you turn them into like synergy. And music is such an essential part, but we don't really look at all these other things, and music is what helps really emit that emotion to the audience and everything, especially when you're seeing just a series of images in front of you, and music helps make all that at a much more smooth, much more fluid. And the music in this really does help amplify the experience.
Well, it's got like a throwback-y quality at times, you know, it's just really interesting to listen to, and especially that combined with just the other sound effect.
Yeah.
Like, it really makes the experience, you know, complete. Reason not to see number 1. Rushed ending.
Yeah, so when they take out Benedict and it all ends right there, it just ends. Like, it just cuts to black, and then everything's resolved. Everything's okay.
Yeah, it is a little bit. That would be my one complaint about this movie, if anything, is like, and it didn't like derail it or bug me that much, but it was kind of like, oh, we're at the height of momentum.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like,
okay, so Kirk's getting better. Are we gonna go get Benedict again or something? Or are we gonna go beat the shit out? You must have him, right? Like, and then from there, it's like, then things are wrapping up, and it took me a second to get back with it, because I was like,
because of how it ended, I couldn't even feel that heroic speech that Kirk was giving to the whole like academy at the end of the movie. I like, they're playing this patriotic music and everything, but I was so like thrown off guard by how everything just sort of went bam, 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 and even I think like the third act was kind of just like not as much as that one particular ending, but just the third act felt a little bit rushed to me, because it was just bombarded with so much danger, action, just nothing, like a whole bunch of chaos. And then when it ends, it's like, yep, all of it's okay, guys. Don't worry. We cut to black and we didn't show you the resolution, but it's resolved.
I feel like it climax and then it's like right down here. Like you don't step down gradually to the ending. It's just like steep slope ends. And then you're kind of like, wait, what the fuck just happened?
Like I said, it doesn't derail the movie for me that in that way, but it is a bit, because I think the third act is fine. That was the only time where I start to feel like it gets a bit rushed, and it's not even like you need to see that, because you know exactly what they're gonna do. Like, it's not like you're remiss for the information.
But when they don't give you that conquering moment, though, of, yes, we mission accomplished,
you know? That victorious moment.
Rather than, it's like they have, like, the big problem, and then they have the resolution, but what about that middle section of accomplishment that they show you?
Reasons not to see number 2. Unaddressed plot points.
The one plot point that really just stands out to me was how, like, the leader of Starfleet, they established, like, he's a bad, corrupt guy. He's got some evil intent going on. But they don't seem to acknowledge that amongst Starfleet, and that doesn't really seem to bother anybody about, hey, like, the top of the ladder, there's actually a lot of corruption going on. Yeah. Is there any other corruption going on? Is there something else that's wrong? They kind of just go, no, we took him out, so everything's okay.
There is a little bit, and it ties back into the ending. It is a little bit like, we could have spent 10 extra minutes back at home, go over what we just went through and be like, okay, so now we know that this guy wasn't so good, and now we know that you guys did a good job, and this is what happened to Khan. Like,
split decision number 1. Ineffective drama. Okay, like, I know we said a ton of great things about this film, but honestly, from watching it, I just remember not being as pulled in as I felt I should have been. I was finding myself getting distracted by a lot of things, and just never really feeling the human complexity of it all going on. I couldn't feel a lot of the drama going on. It just seemed to be more about adventure and the thrills, rather than actually having more of a captivating story being told, because that's what I love so much about the first Star Trek, was the drama was really fucking felt. Just the first 5 minutes, people were like bawling their eyes out because Chris Hemsworth died. And in this one, none of the drama really got to me like that, especially even that moment where Kirk dies. Just could not buy it. I felt like the outline and the idea of the drama was really good. I just felt the emotional impact wasn't there.
I don't know, man. I got impacted by pretty much everything. In this movie, I thought they did a good job. I mean, I was invested in it. I was with it. I bought the jeopardy. I bought the peril. Even that moment you were talking about, you know, I was pulled in enough that I wasn't thinking about, oh, are they going to wake him up? Like, you know, it's like...
See, it made sense to me, but honestly, the twist where Kirk dies, I saw it coming. I saw the way he revived coming. I saw that from, like, as soon as he entered the little radioactive vault, I was like, oh, he's gonna die, and then they're gonna revive him with Khan's blood. So when he actually died, I was not like tripping, like, oh my god, he died, what's gonna happen? It's like,
and
all
they
right,
spent
like,
so much time on that
it
scene.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't impact me because I already saw it coming. And obviously, you know he's not gonna die because he's the main character. And
who knows? They could switch to Picard. Boom.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel. Right? This argument's going to sound weird because I get exactly what you're saying with that. It's like, if you see something coming, then why play it out? But I kind of like that they let the Kirk death scene play out because, I mean, for as much as that's a plot point, it's also about the two of them, though. It's about Kirk and Spock in that moment and the crew, you know? So I didn't mind that they let that play. I was happy they let that play out because that gave me the emotional impact of that scene.
You know, you might have just completely changed my whole opinion on that scene because now that I look back on it, you're absolutely right, because it is about their growth in that particular moment. It's not so much about, hey, Kirk's dying and look how sad it is.
Yeah, it's not
about tricking the audience. Yeah. It's about their... Wow, you have completely changed my opinion about that moment.
I do get that,
Because it is about how Kirk, like, pretty much sacrificed himself. Like, you know, like, when Benedict is like, what would you do for your crew?
Yeah.
And so he shows he's willing to sacrifice his life to save their asses. And at that point is when Spock is like, fuck it, I'm in touch with all my emotions, you know?
Yeah, it's the culmination of everything that Kirk has been told up until this point, and also everything that he's sort of come to be. He is still that guy who, like we said before, is only doing what he knows he can do, not what he thinks he should do. It's like, he's coming full circle as a captain, but also still keeping true to that vibe of like, I only know what I can do. And, you know, I bought that scene really well, and ultimately it is about him and Spock in that moment together.
I think my biggest issue with it, honestly, is I wanted to feel that at the end, that Victoria's like, yeah, like they got him, like they like achieved it, and I wanted to feel that, like, that emotional, like, oh no, like despair, and I didn't feel that, and I guess that's where I kind of feel disappointed, because compared to the first one, like I definitely felt like that, oh no, and I definitely felt that, like, yes, they won, they succeeded, and I didn't get that this time.
Like I had moments where I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's bad.
Like, shit.
For most of it, I felt like everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna end up all
Yeah.
See, I kept being convinced they were going to start killing characters, especially when he was like, Chekhov, go put on a red shirt. I was like, no, don't go put on a red shirt, Chekhov, no. Like, and then when Bones gets his arm caught in that thing, and then, you know, they bring Scotty back, and Scotty's on the other ship, I kept thinking like, oh shit, bad things are going to happen to good characters. Like,
yeah, for me for me, I felt the writing, I guess, so much of like, how do we make this more dangerous? Because I was so aware of them trying to throw in danger, I never felt like the danger would ever fully meet the potential of like the worry that you were experiencing, the fear that you were experiencing. Like that moment when his hand's caught, I was like, it's gonna be okay. Like any moment, I was like, it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right.
yeah, and I can see why you would feel. I don't know exactly why I was so pulled into this particular movie, but it was, you know, the way it sounded going in, it was going to be like, oh, there's like 10 problems at once, and it just seemed like one big problem that kept escalating like it would.
I did feel like it was like the 10 big problems at once type of thing. That's why I thought the third act was a little bit chaotic. It was like, man, there's a lot of things going wrong. It makes sense, but it felt a little too much. And I guess the reason for the ineffective drama would have to be because of our second split decision.
Oh, dang. Split decision number 2. Lacks character exploration.
This was my biggest disappointment. I felt like we didn't get to explore all of the characters. While in the first one, we got a sense of each and every one of the characters.
Yeah,
and you really like them, you got to know them, and you're like, oh, they're an ensemble, they're great, they like work together so great. And in this one, there was a lot of uneven screen time, a lot of uneven attention to each of them, and that kind of disappointed me.
Yeah, for me, this film seemed way more about just the adventure and just the escalating thrills and the escalating danger. But part of what made part 1 so effective to me was each character had their own unique personality, and each character felt very three-dimensional. Did someone fart?
No, it was my shoe.
Okay. I felt like it was more caricatures of everyone rather than them all feeling like a true ensemble again. It didn't feel like we're hanging out with these guys again or getting to explore them more. It was like, yeah, we already established who they were in the first one, now let's just make it about the adventure.
Yeah.
And the only ones I felt like you really got to explore were Kirk and Spock. You don't really get the full grasp of everyone and the full sense of fun and dynamics of this whole cast coming together as I felt with the first one. I felt like they kind of pushed all that to the side. Like with the Doctor, they're like, hey, let's just make him a funny guy. And that was it. Like, he was just a funny guy. Whereas in part 1, he was really much more of a, not a number 2 in the way how Spock was, but much more close with Kirk. Even with Sulu, he had more unique character traits to explore in the first one. And Scotty didn't get as much screen time, but they gave more to Scotty. But just with the whole cast in general, there was just something there that was missing, which didn't make the drama as effective to me.
Really
because I felt like if you didn't see the first one, you probably won't give 2 shits about all these people.
Why would you? Because all you see them is on the ship, and it's like, oh, Sulu, do this. Oh, Uhura, your chancellor, okay, cool.
Yeah, Russian guy.
Chekhov, go in the back.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I mean.
And it's like, okay, like, I don't give a shit about this.
It was everyone doing their job, doing their adventure, but not really getting to explore these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything you guys said, but the opposite of that was the experience I had with this movie. It was like, I don't know, I really liked them as an ensemble. I thought everybody had several moments where I was like, oh yeah, you know, Bones, oh, Chekhov, oh, you know, Scotty,
But it's moments. That was the issue. It was moments.
Well, they're not all
throughout.
going to be on screen at the same time the whole time.
I'm saying that these moments come and go, but they don't stay there resonating throughout the film.
They resonated for me. Like, I always thought of them as an ensemble, even though it does, it is more about the adventure than getting to know the characters. I'll give you that, which isn't a problem for me, because I feel like we got to know them, and now we know them, and things are going to change in their dynamics, but, you know, I liked what they gave me. I thought it was a great ensemble. I thought everybody, had just as much personality. I thought everyone was important, and, I really liked all the characters this time around.
Look, in the first one, you explore the characters, and you have great adventure, you have great drama. They could have done that in this second movie, and they didn't, and that's what's disappointing. Is because they could have done it. And they didn't.
This one, they did everything Star Trek 1 has, but they cut back significantly on character.
I disagree with you. I don't know what else to say. It's...
You're not agreeing with us, and that's what's getting me upset.
I didn't realize
what's wrong with you?
I didn't realize Star Trek was that deep of a character study.
That's why people love it. Because
I didn't realize
Star Trek because it's the characters.
I didn't realize this was supposed to be There Will Be Blood or something like that.
What makes Star Wars stand out is the characters. What makes Star Trek so unique is the characters.
It's a collaboration.
It's not just about adventure and space. It's about characters. It doesn't have to be this great character study. The first one isn't this huge character study either, but at the end of the day, they all felt way more three-dimensional than they did in this one.
Okay, well, let me just say this. In the first movie, in all the Star Trek series, the crew, they're an ensemble. They interact together. It's not just, this dude talks to Kirk, and this dude talks to Kirk, and this dude talks to Kirk, and this dude talks to Kirk.
But
no, hold on. It is about everyone talking to each other and interacting with each other. In this movie, it was always, Spock and Kirk, and then Scotty and Kirk, and then so-and-so with Kirk, and then someone else with Kirk, and someone else with Kirk.
Ryan's consensus. There are strong enough reasons to see Star Trek Into Darkness. There are strong enough reasons to see Star Trek Into Darkness. The stuff that I didn't really like about it, I really don't agree with strongly, which kind of makes me go, it was a disappointment. But when I look back on it, I liked it a lot more than when I first watched it.
Jerry's consensus. There are a lot of strong reasons to go see Star Trek Into Darkness. There are a lot of strong reasons to go see Star Trek Into Darkness. Yeah, man, I had a great time with this movie. I had a blast. There are a few, hiccups here and there, but nothing that really detracted that much for me.
Michelle's consensus. There are a lot of good reasons to see Star Trek Into Darkness. There are a lot of good reasons to see Star Trek Into Darkness. Despite the things that I was disappointed about the movie, all in all, I really enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it, and I would definitely recommend it to other people, and I would watch it again.
Alright guys, thanks for checking out our show. Why don't you go ahead, scroll to that comment box and tell us what is your favorite Star Trek movie. Just tell us which one you like, and if you saw this new Star Trek, tell us what you thought about it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Even go into some of the spoilers and piss off the other people who haven't seen the movie yet, who read your comment.
Oh, and if you want to see more episodes of Reasons to See, we got a little link right down here. So why don't you go ahead and click it.
And if you want to see my straight to the point review of Star Trek Into Darkness, if you want to know what the difference is, well, you just got to click that link right here.
And if you want to get updated every time a new review or a video is out,
subscribe!
Go ahead, click on Michelle, people.
Click that button.
Subscribe. We want you to subscribe so you can continue to hang out with us every week.
Yeah, punch it! Right?
Yeah, warp speed to the subscribe button.
Yeah. I could tell you really wanted to say that. Would you ever have sex with someone who had Vulcan ears? Like Will Smith?
Like real? He doesn't have Vulcan ears.
He got his Vulcan ears fixed.
He has satellite ears.
There's a really cool scene when Boba Fett shows up in the movie. New crossover. What if that ends up happening because JJ's directing Star Wars now?
No.
That would be cool.
Star
We're doing
Wars,
all
Star
these
Trek
universe
crossover.
movies. Yeah. I would love to see that.
That'd be terrible.
I would love to see like Kirk and Luke Skywalker.
There isn't even Earth in Star Wars.
And then, it just could be across the universe.
It's Middle Earth.
That's Lord of the
Then
Rings.
J.J. Abrams will make Battlestar Galactica the movie, and then we're gonna cross them all over.
And then you know what?